your name, where you're from, where you're coming from in the chat so we can just get to know each other and spend the hour together. And I'll tell you a little bit about moi and what this is all about. But first of all, can I get a hand raise of those who have done havening? Let me do that first. Who has done havening before? Yes, this is a little game we're playing. Hooray. Who is in this room? Oh, well, I see a lot of them this time. This is making me happy. How many havening practitioners? Yeah, love it. Okay, and who has never done havening before and is like, I love learning new things and is joining us in the room? Yay! Can we give those folks a hand? Because sometimes it's like really trying something new is can be overwhelming, but it can also be exciting. I call it energy instead of nervousness, right? But it's fun to try something new. Who is considering the possibility of bringing havening into their practice and want to learn more? We're going to talk a little bit about that. Want to give you that opportunity. Yeah, amazing. Oh, great, great, great. Awesome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Hilary Russo. If you don't know me, it is such an honor to be in presence with you. If you do know me, thank you for coming back. If you've done these Havening happy hours time and time again, I love you. And I'm so happy to have you here. I try to do these at different times because sometimes, like my beautiful friends across the pond, because we have a number of people who are not in the States coming to us from, the UK. Oh my gosh, where's our furthest this year? Germany. Where else? Where else have we got? Who wins this time with being the furthest away? I think Germany tends to be. Marlene, you always like show up, girl. UK, love having you here. Australia, oh, I don't know. Oh, from Australia. Okay. We got a couple Germanys, Marana's here, Vancouver, Canada, and even people just close by. So no matter where you are, what I try to do is do this at a time where it is the best for all, but sometimes I'll hop around and I might do one at 5 p.m. Eastern time, or earlier in the day, but usually it's between the 12 and 6 o'clock hour Eastern time so that we can have different people that get to try this out. And I just want to say for being here, no matter what time it is, wherever you are, thank you for sharing the space with me. So, a little bit about me. I'm Hilary Russo, Chief of Hugs and your holistically speaking health coach. Yes, I've been a Havening Techniques practitioner now for almost 6 years. 2019 was when I officially got certified and just became a Havening trainer. So I'm very excited about that. This was the next level for me to be able to support people on their journey and see if they want to put it in their own practice, because that's basically how it happened to me. I walked into a bar. People have heard this story before. Met Feliciana Tello, who is the chief operating officer for Havening, which is the modality that we're going to be learning about today. And she said, "Do you know what I do?" And I said, "No." And she said, "May I show you?" And she showed me how to do it by actually facilitating havening on me. And I said, "Girl, I don't know what you did, but I want more of it." And that is the story right there. And I did a 2-day training like the one I have coming up in November. And within 5 months, I was certified in this practice, which has now become the thing I'm known for, the thing I talk about, and the thing I love most, to be able to put the power, active emotional well-being in people's hands. So that's my story. And a little bit about havening. It is a psychosensory approach that uses touch, because touch is oxytocin, touch is nurturing. We need touch. It is three different types of touch, like you're washing your hands, move my microphone, giving yourself a hug from your shoulders down to your elbows with your thumbs out, or even gently touching your face. And let's just all try this because we're going to do it today. Or you can even do it this way. It feels a little different, like somebody is giving you a nurturing, loving touch. Any or all three of these are considered the havening touch. And when you pair this beautiful, nurturing approach with a pleasant distraction, a positive thought, that could be what I say with my clients. It's like giving yourself a first class ticket anywhere you want to be, that is like the center of joy, that brings you peace, calm, joy, just brings you that sense of calm, what I call the brain candy in our lives, right? Sometimes you want a little peppermint, sometimes you want a chocolate, sometimes you want a caramel. When you have these tools in your little brain candy jar, you can pull them out at any time. And havening probably is the majority of my brain candy jar. So when you pair this touch with a positive thought or pleasant distraction, that's where you have just a magical neuroscience base, not just magic, but it is magical. This change that happens in your brain. It's basically letting your amygdala, that part of your brain that goes into fight, flight, freeze, fawn, defensive rage, that part of our brain that we need to keep safe because it's like a alarm system in your home. You know, those alarm systems that have the activation where anything goes by, it senses it and it keeps you out of danger. That's exactly what your amygdala does. It is designed to do that. So you're doing CPR for your amygdala, as we call it. You're keeping your amygdala safe by allowing yourself, building this relationship and saying, you're okay. I got you. You're not in danger. Because havening is actually a transitive verb for the word safe place, a haven. So every single one of you, no matter where you live in this world, create a safe place in your mind around you, right? You create a safe place that you live. You have a safe car that you drive. You live in a safe city or town, neighborhood. All of these things you're creating around you. But the one piece of imminent domain that we forget about sometimes is right here. So it's time we create that safe place here, isn't it? Right? Can I get a for that? Yeah, I think so. I love it. So, when you release those chemicals, which is oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, those happy hormones that are released, you then release and you actually are creating more delta waves in your brain. And delta waves are like, mwah, they are the slowest moving brain waves. It is sleep state, sleep brain waves, and it is even slower than meditation. So, like, we're living like in gamma and alpha waves, which are like productivity, do. This is giving you a chance to like be, finding that calm in the chaos. So, you can use havening for everyday upsets when you're feeling that energy, or even if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed if you're having brain fog or not getting clarity. I use this a lot with students that are taking tests or preparing to go on camera. I do a lot of presentation work with folks learning to be comfortable on camera. That's my background as a journalist. And anything you can use it for, even sleep. I have sleep apnea. I use this every night before I go to sleep. So the beauty of this work is that you can facilitate it on a client or even a family member or a friend, consent based, obviously, or you can do it on yourself. And there's nothing more beautiful than being able to put some kind of self regulating technique in your own hands to use at any time, right? Right? Like we need to put the power in our own hands instead of always giving it away. Like that's what's empowering. So, like when people call us, and any of us that are practitioners in the room or coaches, raise your hand. Raise your hand, yeah? Or teachers, or anywhere where you're of service, right? First responders, doctors, therapists, coaches. You are in the field of serving others. And a lot of times we forget to serve ourselves. We forget to put ourselves first. And I spoke about this at the Havening conference a couple years ago that, you know, when we forget about ourselves, how much are we really showing up for another person? And that goes back to home too. So being able to self-regulate and self-soothe, even if it's just a minor thing, to something that's more trauma encoded, which of course, havening is beautiful for de-encoding trauma when you're supported by a certified practitioner. You never want to do trauma work alone. You have the ability to change your thoughts, your moods, your behaviors, habits, and be kind to your mind and like live resiliently. Like who wants to live resiliently in this world? Yeah, right? Amazing. So that's what I want to share with you today is I do this every month. I've been doing the Havening Happy Hours since the beginning of the pandemic. It happened, I think my first one was it was March 30th, 2020, and that was my birthday. And I'm like, well, I can't go anywhere because Marley, is that your birthday too? I see you going like, yay it was my birthday and I'm like, I can't go anywhere. I can't celebrate. I can't do anything. Oh, contraire. I'm like, hold on a second. We're all doing this, taking space from each other, separating ourselves. Everyone's locked up in their homes. And I thought, I'm going to do a happy hour and I'm going to call it the Havening Happy Hour. And I'm going to just do this during the pandemic to help people. And I was doing it weekly for a while. And then things were starting to like, people were finding things to do and other distractions, positive things to fill their time. And then I started doing it monthly, and I've been doing it monthly ever since. So for over 4 years now that I have been doing this Havening happy hour complimentary for free, not only to hold space for people, I gain something from it because I get to Haven, but also like I get to meet new people. I meet other practitioners. I meet other people that might be interested in becoming maybe even a client, or I can refer them to somebody who can support them, or even now being able to see if there's folks that are wanting to put it into their own practice and get certified. So there's so many different ways that we can learn from each other in the room. And every month I pick a theme. And this month, because we're going into November, which is gratitude month, in the States and in Canada, there is Thanksgiving and Boxing Day, and in other areas of the country. We're also moving, or world, we're moving into the season of giving, celebrating, being with family and friends. I thought this would be a really beautiful time for us to come together in gratitude. And one of the things that I think we forget about is the gratitude we have towards self. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times we're thinking about things outside of ourselves, right? What we're grateful for, the things around us that bring us peace and calm and joy, the things that actually we bring gratitude into our lives. But what about the gratitude we give? Like holding space for yourself to say, I'm grateful that I'm a good practitioner, I'm a good mom, I'm a good guardian, I'm a great baker, things about you that you're grateful for. And that's a big part of my Hug It Out program, which is an acronym and coincidentally just incorporates hugs, right? It's an acronym for in the healing, we have to have humor because sometimes we look back at these things and we say, oh, when I was going through it, that was the worst thing in the world. But now there's this, I have a feeling in my mind like there was a little humor in that, right? We have to laugh in the healing, find the humor in the healing. We have to find understanding, which is being grateful for who we are and what we're doing and how we're showing up in this world. Like you know who you are now at this point in your life. You don't always have to be understood. And it's knowing your core values and how you're showing up in your work and your home life and just being a human being, what we're doing. And then the gratitude. And the gratitude isn't about the things around you, it's about what you're grateful for about YOU. So I thought with it being gratitude month in November and us moving into that month, let's do some self gratitude haven. How does that sound? And this one like was so beautiful when I did it at the conference in Dublin. Not this year, the year before in 2023, when I spoke at the conference on the impact of secondary trauma that it can have on all of us, secondary traumatic stress, which is vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue. I thought, how can we bring this into our own lives so that you can make sure you're supporting you before you're supporting others? So how does that sound? Good? Awesome. Does anyone have questions at this point before we do a little havening? No? And if I don't have music, I usually like to have some like really nice megahertz music, but let's keep things quiet. You know what? There's music within too. So I would like for us to just find our own song within. In fact, a couple weeks ago on my Instagram, I posted something. This could be a fun thing to do for you too, like a little challenge for you. I posted something like, if you had a walk-in song and you were getting on stage and like giving a presentation or just walking into any room, it could be your kitchen, what would be your walk-in song? Like that power song that you're like, every time you walk in, that song would be playing. So maybe that's the song you play in your mind while you're doing a little self-havening today. But that can empower you, like building a playlist of power music that like when you walk in a room, you're hearing it, you're hearing it, you're hearing it, you're hearing it. So whatever you choose to do, let's just run through this again, and then we'll just do some havening and I'll guide you through it. We'll leave a little time for questions and I'll share a little bit about what's coming up for me and perhaps for you. So, havening, like you're washing your hands. Yeah. And you can do this anyway. Like there's no choreography. Okay. Or you're giving yourself a hug from your shoulders down to your elbows. Beautiful. Or on your face. Right. And any all three of these touches are okay to use. The one question I get is where do I go? It's like you go wherever you want. So some people might stay here. Some people might do this. And the beauty of this work is like you can do havening anywhere. One of the things I don't like is mass transit, but I know I have to sometimes take it living close to New York. I'll sit there on the subway and I'm just doing this in my lap and thinking about like the best day that I'm going to have, or maybe a great vacation, or maybe I'm just humming a song and I'm listening to it on my earbuds. That's the distraction. It could be anything, but keeping the havening touch consistent is what causes the amazing hormones to be released, and you're going into that delta wave state and finding the calm and the chaos and just being kind to your mind. And if you're having a great day, why not have a better day? So it doesn't mean you have to have a bad day. You could just be doing this anytime, anywhere. So hands, arms, face, right? And then what I invite you to do in this moment is if something's coming up for you that could be causing you a little upset, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 is what I call namaste all day, doesn't bother you at all, to 10, off the charts. Can you find something kind of in the middle, like 4 to 6, that's coming up for you? And you're like, I don't want to be hanging on that anymore. And maybe it's giving you a feeling or an emotion like, I've been a little overwhelmed about this or stressed. These are just examples, not projecting. And if you could just put that in the chat, like just put in the chat the number where you are and the emotion that you would put with it, because I'm going to show you how powerful this modality is. And those of you who know. So like for me, I've got some deadlines coming up. So maybe my number is like 5 and I'm feeling the overwhelm, right? So just put that in there. And I love the songs that you're sharing too. Thank you. Put in the chat the number and the emotion before we get started here, because you're going to see just how beautiful and powerful evening is. Yes, here we go. All right, self-doubt is a 4, bad sleep, frustration, 8, apprehension, stressors, 5, anxiety, 6 or 7. Thank you, everyone, for being so open and vulnerable and sharing. Maybe a 5, that's fine. Imposter syndrome, 5, 5. Something here, frustration, 4. Great. You know what's so great about it is that you're identifying it, that you are like in touch with it and you're okay with it, because these feelings are valid and real. The beauty of havening is that we don't keep you there. There are other approaches that keep you in the stuff, right? And you're like, I'm tired of talking about it and working through it. Havening is a psychosensory approach, meaning that it uses the sense of touch as its primary, but we're not like staying in it, right? You're aware of it. We're all aware of it. You've been vulnerable about it. Now, what I want you to do is park that over there for a second. Feel it wherever it feels in your body. Give it grace and love and say, okay, I hear you. I hear you, amygdala. I got you. But we're gonna take a nice little journey with Hilary as our tour guide. Okay. And this is like being a director of your own movie. Let's put it that way. Like you're in control of where you go. I'm just guiding you. All right. I'd love to be like your assistant director, maybe. Okay. And what I would love for you to do at this moment, who can visualize well in the room, who has good visual, creative visualization, you close your eyes, you're like, yeah, take me away. Awesome. Great. Most of you do. If you don't, or if there's ever a point where you struggle with that and you close your eyes and you're like, all right, it's all black, can't see a thing, just find yourself a focal point. You can look out the window. You can just find something in the room that you're in that brings you joy and peace, and just count 20 things around the room. But if you're a good visualizer, I highly recommend that you allow yourself to be that director in your mind. That's what's building that empowerment with yourself. Okay. So we have those things that we're feeling, don't feel so great. We're parking it over here for a moment. What I invite you to do now is just start the havening touch. Get used to this touch. And you're going to continue doing this the entire time. Like you're washing your hands, arms, shoulders to elbows going down, right? Because no cat ever wants to be rubbed the opposite way. Consider yourself like an animal. We have hairs that go this way, right? So going down, or even on your face. Nice little facial. And you can change it up. Do any or all three of these, two of them, one of them, whatever's comfortable to you. I invite you to close your eyes and allow yourself to be that director of that movie in your mind. Okay. And then what I'm going to do during this time is I'm just going to guide you. I'm going to count, and you're going to take yourself on that first class ticket anywhere you choose to go. And that place could be your own backyard if that's where you love most of all. It could be in your house, it could be a vacation. Just find some place that brings you peace and calm and joy. Okay. But before you go there, what I would love for you to do is just stand in your power. Imagine with your eyes closed, just standing there like a strong oak tree, knowing that you're grounded, knowing that you are rooted. And when you're rooted and you're grounded, you're not rooted into the earth yourself. You're rooted with other things. You're part of this beautiful ecosystem. So we're empowered by others. We're in community. Right here is a community, right? So just imagine yourself braving whatever you have braved, knowing that you've been through it like an oak tree in the storm. And then what I invite you to do is just start the havening touch and imagine that there's a door or a portal or some kind of a window, something with a threshold that on the other side is that beautiful place that brings you that peace and calm and joy. That's right. And then what I invite you to do is when you're ready, take a deep breath and step across that threshold. Like this is the movie you're creating. Wherever that place is that brings you that peace, that calm, that joy, that opposite feeling of what you're having, basically, is where you're going. But this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to kind of guide you on this, count to 20. And with each number that I mention, what I would love for you to do is create experiences within the experience. So if your place is the beach, for instance, maybe number one is feeling the sand under your feet. Maybe number two is hearing the waves. So it's a feast of the senses, as I like to call it. Actually, I have to give credit to a client for that one. I use it all the time. It creates a feast of the senses. So you're in that number one spot, right? And what I want you to do is just take that first powerful step. And even if the step is like you're staying still, that's okay. Just 20 experiences around you. Step into the experience is what I need. And take that first one, number one. Really breathe it in. Where are you? What's around you? Know that you have the ability to change your thoughts, moods, behaviors, and habits. And then two. And with each number, it just gets easier and lighter. And three, already feeling a sense of release, knowing that you have this ability to change your thoughts, moods, behaviors, and habits. And four, don't forget to breathe. We forget to do that sometimes. And on this fifth step, take a deep breath. And I invite you to try this beautiful pranayama breathing. Breathe in on a 4 count and just hold it for 7 if you can, and breathe out on 8. So you're breathing out twice as slow. You're just making amends with your parasympathetic nervous system, reminding your amygdala, we call her Amy, she's okay. And then maybe bring another sense to mind on that fifth step. What is in that fifth number that you can see or feel or taste or touch? Like really treat yourself like you're there. Beautiful. And 6. And remember to keep the havening touch going because that's part of it. Moving your hands, beautiful. And 7 and 8 and 9. And on that 10th step, take another deep breath and bring another sense to mind. What do you feel, see, touch, taste, hear? Don't forget to breathe. Make amends with your mind. 11, 12, beautiful. 13, 14. And that 15 number, take another deep breath. Bring another sense to mind, something else you see, feel, touch, taste. It can be any of those, doesn't have to be all. Yes, everyone, beautiful. And 16, 17, 18, beautiful. This is your space. You're the director here. 19. Beautiful. See so many smiles. And on that 20th step, keeping your eyes closed, I want you to imagine that you are turning around in your mind's eye, keeping your eyes shut. See how far you've come. See how easy it is to connect with yourself and be present and self regulate and bring that joy and happiness and good feelings, releasing all those happy chemicals. Like you are in this beautiful relationship with yourself, with this nervous system that you have. Beautiful. And then what I invite you to do, you can do it out loud because you're all on mute if you choose. I invite you just to say the alphabet out loud. You can sing it, you can say it, you can do it in your native language. Just go for it and then just nod when you're done. And keep havening while you're doing it. The whole point is that you're havening. Beautiful. I see some movement. I love it. Let's continue the havening touch while you're doing the alphabet. Lovely. And then what I invite you to do is just, say the months of the year. Say the months of the year out loud, connecting, knowing that you are connected to every day and every month of the year. Yeah. Lovely. Lovely, everyone. And then on this note, just say your name out loud. Spell your name because you're connecting to this experience. Every single one of you in here has a different name. Do a little havening by just spelling your name out loud. You can even see yourself doing it in script in your mind, whatever. Connect who you are to this moment. So many beautiful people in this room. And then when you're done with that, I invite you to rest your hands in your lap, bring your awareness back to your breath, come back to the room and the space, join me again. Take a deep breath and just be like, oh, yes. Then take your little hands, go to the chat, and put in the chat where you are now. Like, what's the word you're feeling right now? And what is the number that you would put with it? So if you're feeling like chill, release, the number will be lower. Remember, the lower the number, the closer to namaste all day you are. Yeah. Beautiful. Peaceful at a 0. Light. Keep going. Peace, 0. Down regulated, but in a good way too. Love it. Yay. Tingly. Yes, that happens. Calm at a 2. Hopeful at 3. Look at all these beautiful numbers that were once a little higher and now they're so much lower. 2, present. 3 to 4, more positive. Like just the feeling in itself. The number is what we call a subjective unit of distress. It's called the SUD scale. It's just so we have an idea of where we are and where we can be, right? You're not being graded on it. There's no test. It's just giving you a chance to be like, okay, right now I'm feeling like a 4. And then after Haven, you're like, oh, I'm at a 0. Right. And sometimes if when I use this with kids, I might use happy faces to sad faces, or you can use colors. But the SUD scale is just a way for you to figure out where you were and where you are. Look how beautiful that is. We went from like higher numbers, right? 6 and 7s and 8s even, and 5s and 4s, overwhelm, stress, anxiety, frustrations, to feeling calmer and lighter and peaceful and hopeful and present. And oh my goodness, that is the beauty of havening in 12 minutes. 12 minutes, that's all it takes. So imagine using this for yourself, for your own regulation. And if you're supporting others, being able to use it, you know, the beauty of this work is that there are you can use this on friends and family anytime or yourself. And then if you're looking for even to bring this into your practice to be certified, I can help you with that. So I want to open the room for any questions at this point, and then I'll tell you a little bit about what I have coming up. Does anyone have any questions or what they want to share about their experience? I love when we do shared experiences. Go ahead, open the floor, my friends. Anyone? Does anyone want to share their experience?
Yeah, I had a nice
Yes. Lisa, I love it. Yeah.
yeah, I had a number of releases which come out as yawns. If anyone saw me
Mhm.
yawn, I'm not
Which is
tired.
good.
I'm letting go of a lot of stress that I've been dealing with this week. So that was wonderful. Thank
Beautiful. How easy it is to use, just like taking a step back. Because sometimes it's so easy to go down that rabbit hole and we're stressed. And then we're like, but I'm already stressed. So I might as well just be more stressed. And it's just reminding that part of your brain that you're safe because it all comes back to safety, right? No matter what the emotion and feeling is. So thank you so much for sharing. And I hope you have a much more productive day now that you've downregulated. Right. Does anyone else want to share? Who else would like to share? Oh, Anna, yes.
So, it was interesting as you mentioned that it could be a place like, or like your back yard. I
Mhm.
thought of the center of my house, and suddenly, instead of seeing my house, what I saw was like my mom and me
Mhm.
as a recently born baby, like laying next to her and being embraced by her. And I thought, like, weren't we supposed to be like in a place? And then I was like, no, like this is it. This is like the safest place I could just like be. And it's thank you very much. Because my mom just like passed yesterday was
Mm.
her second passing anniversary. So it was just like, yeah, that's the safest place to be. And I remember like the smell of cinnamon tea that she used to love. So I know now something that I'll be like filling my house with in order to just feel the presence and the calm. So thank you so much.
That is so beautiful. And I, again, so sorry for your loss, but the beauty of this work is that you can really connect to that part of mom anytime, anywhere. In fact, some of you might know this who have been in the room with me before. The first thing I was ever havened on was the grief and death of my dad. And I did that on stage during the 2-day workshop with Dr. Steve and Dr. Ron Rudin, who developed this approach, this modality. And Dr. Ron did Havening on me on that stage. And I never looked at that passing the same way again. Yes, my father passed. Yes, I loved my father, so close with him, but I wasn't able to process all this, the grief, the way that I'm now able to, where I look at it differently. The story happened, but I'm just able to change the narrative. And that's such a beautiful way that Havening can support people. I get asked a lot about that. Does this work for grief? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's really nothing that we haven't been able to see Havening used for. And I don't even like using the word used because I feel like it's part of this beautiful process and dance and relationship, right? I don't like to say that it's being used. We need to find a better word for that. But it's the ability of being able to have a shared experience with yourself and that part of your brain that feels the feelings that it feels, right? So I love that you're activating the feast of the senses, right? Bringing in all these different spices and smells and the touch of feeling mom. Beautiful. And you can do this at any time. Actually, my mom lost her husband, my stepfather, a couple of years ago, and she started coming to these having happy hours. And it helped her too because she started doing it this way, and it reminded her that she was being touched by her Prince Charming, as she called him. So she'd be here today, but she's working out with her trainer. So I gave her a get out of jail free card. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Anna. Does anyone want to share? Anyone else? Who else would like to share? This is so beautiful. It's so good to see new faces and those who I know well. Um, is anyone interested or looking into certification or seeing about the possibility of bringing it into your practice or just your space? Because there are two ways to do this. The Havening training, I have one coming up on November 16th and 17th. And if you know anyone that's looking to get trained too, they can always they can find the information. I'm going to actually share it in the chat. I'm not going to chance bringing up my slides at this point because apparently we're having some tech gremlins stepping in who asked them to come. And there's two steps to the training process. And basically, there's step one, which is the 2-day, like the one where I had Dr. Ron Rudin havening me on stage. This one is going to be online. And it's a 2-day on a Saturday and Sunday. And any Havening practitioners in the room, I'm always looking to build my facilitator list. So if you want to join me, let me know. Help me out. But the Havening training is the 16th and 17th. And what that does is you learn about the fundamentals of Havening. So you learn the basic 7 different principles of Havening. You learned one today, just the simple, that we can do this every day, anywhere, right? But you learn the fundamentals of Havening, and you're able to use that with friends and family, not in the professional setting. You also learn the neuroscience behind Havening, like really get into the nerdy neuroscience. And it's fun. And we do breakout groups, and you try it out on the other folks that are students in the class for the 2 days. And then you have the ability to go on and do the certification and mentorship. And if you choose, I can be a mentor to you many times. That's what happens when you're taking a person's course. You wind up working with them. And that basically is on your own time. Like you're not doing it in a certain amount of time. You have a year to finish. So you do a number of case studies, and you do an ethics and science review. And then you have the mentor who goes over things with you over the period of time. And it's just such a beautiful experience. And when you're certified in that capacity, you're able to use it and call yourself a certified practitioner. But I meet with everybody that is looking into it to answer questions. We're not going to do it during this time, but if you're interested, definitely you can use that link and book a time to do a Zoom one-on-one with me, and we could talk about the possibilities for you. Is the training virtual? Yes, Gina. The one I have on November 16th and 17th on Saturday, Sunday is virtual. I will be doing some in person, but it's easier to reach people everywhere when we can do it this way, and it's just as effective. So it allows us to do more breakout groups, and learning this modality in a virtual world made me and others in this room that are practitioners, back me up on this or share your own experience. It made me a better practitioner, I think, because I learned doing it in New York City with the doctors, with other trainers. I was going to meetups all the time, and I was doing it in person, and that made me a strong practitioner. But when that pandemic happened and the world shut down, you are focused. You are having to be really aware of what's going on these Zooms so that you can support people globally, have clients all over the world, right? And then I also have clients in person. Like I do both. I have a clinic, and then I also have my online clients. So it's absolutely possible. So yes, the next one's online. Let's see. Wonderful, Lisa. I would love to have you as a facilitator. Hooray. Doesn't have to be that one, just knowing that you'll be on my little list. And let's see, is eye movement used in Havening at all? So really good question, Heather. That was something in the original protocol that we used to do, the rapid eye movement, but we found that we are not really teaching that anymore. If you're familiar, or those of you who are unfamiliar, we're talking about the similar to, but not the same as EMDR or rapid eye movement. We don't use it anymore, or we don't teach it anymore, rather. Like some of us who have been doing it a while, when it was still part of the protocol, might use it, but it's not part of the protocol going forward in the teachings, if that makes any sense. Yeah, we found that it's not necessary. But some practitioners and therapists do it because they might also be certified in EMDR, which is a practice here in the States, at least. You have to be licensed to be able to use that. There are other methods that are similar to that do involve eye movement, though. I hope that answers your question. Curious. Gail, hi, Gail. If EFT is used. Beautiful. So good question. A lot of people actually ask if EFT, how it's similar to. EFT, as you know, is the tapping, right? And the difference is while it's a psychosensory approach, where it differs, and I think my favorite way of being able to share it is that EFT is based on the meridian points, right? Many people who are Havening practitioners might also be certified in tapping, NLP, those are common ones, hypnotherapy. I'm also a hypnotherapist. And we find that the tapping, or what I've come back and said, is that tapping is almost like it's more of a masculine energy in my mind, because you're dun, 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 touch, touch, touch. Havening is more nurturing. I find it to be more of a feminine energy. I feel it to be more nurturing. And both are very effective. But I think it's really depending on the person. I work very closely with a tapping practitioner, EFT practitioner, and we work at the same facility, and we are always referring to each other because sometimes people are like, I don't like this thing, or I don't want to be all touchy feely. So I think you have to meet people where they're at. And they're similar in that they're both psychosensory approaches, but havening is an electrochemical response. That's another thing. So it's really just finding what works for you, but they are different. They're not the same. Does that make sense? Perfect. All right. Do you use havening as a standalone? By the way, you could always take yourself off mute. I don't have to answer these via chat. I love to hear your voices, but I'll answer this one. And Jennifer, if you want to come on off of the video, you can. I mean, off of mute. Do you use havening as a standalone practice, or are you using it as part of another practice, talk therapy? That is a good question. The answer is yes and yes. You can use it standalone, or you can use it as part of your practice. If you are a licensed therapist, if you're a doctor, I just certified a doctor, and I certified a former fire chief. Yay! This past training. So we're finding that people are using it in their already developed practices, whether they are licensed therapists, doctors, first responders. We'll stick with the coaching and the therapy area right now, the practitioners. So while I'm certified in many things, I tend to have people coming to me for havening, right? I'm also an integrative nutrition health coach, hypnotherapy, havening. And most come to me with a presenting issue. Havening's the modality, right? That's the modality we're using, the approach. So it's psychosensory instead of psychotherapy. And psychotherapy, to define them, like we have psychopharmacology, right? That's using medication to help us in the process. We have psychotherapy, which is more in alignment with talk therapy. And then we have psychosensory, which is something that actually Dr. Rudin developed that term. And it means that we don't even have to say anything. I have people that can come into a session with me and just say, I need some havening. And I don't have to hear your whole thing. Like, you don't have to share. It could be completely content free, content rich, or in the middle, right? The person who's joining you and is trusting you is the one that makes that choice. And if they want to just come in and be like, yeah, I just want to do the havening thing, don't talk to me. I'm like, all right, let's do it. You can do it that way. That's how powerful it is. I didn't know any of your stories. I just asked you a number and what you're feeling. That's it. You brought yourself there. That's the power of how this modality can stand alone. However, it can be used with other professions. So if you are seeing a therapist and maybe one of the modalities they might use havening at some point, maybe they switch over to tapping. So it could be just havening, or you can blend it with other things. It really is meeting the client or patient where they're at. If that answers your question. Yeah. Anyone else have questions? Let me see. Let's see. Jennifer, I know we talked about, are you a therapist?
I just got certified as a conscious EFT practitioner.
Love that.
And so the question was also just to understand, what is it that you are teaching in the certification? Like, is it that preparing us to do that 12-minute havening, but for longer in a session with a person?
Yeah,
like, I
good
just
question.
wasn't sure what
Right.
it
And
looks like.
that actually would be something that we can talk about in a one-to-one so that you can ask all the questions. The 2-day training that I do on, for instance, on November 16th and 17th, that is just the 2-day learning the fundamentals, the background, the history of havening. You have to take step 1 in order to take step 2. You can't get certified and mentored until you actually know the basics. You're not certified after 2 days. Quite frankly, I never understand these programs that come out. They're like, get certified in NLP in 1 day. And I'm like, really? How is that possible? Like, there's got to be an ethics and morals behind that. I think you're learning the background of it. That's what we do in the havening world, is that we're giving you the information, learning about the history, how it was developed, the fundamentals of what the different kinds of havening are that you can use in past situations and in growth, right? Because it's like, we want to help people heal from the past, and we also want to help them build resiliency. And so there's 7 different fundamentals that we use. And then you learn the neuroscience, like, because the first question is, how is touching myself and thinking about something happy going to change my brain? So we teach you that as well. And that's learning the neuroscience. And then you do some breakout groups and work with the other students to just learn how to use it. Then the step 2 is where it's the 32 case studies. So you find friends, family, other Havening soon-to-be students in the Havening group that we have on Facebook's Havening closed group. Ask them, would you be a case study for me? And you do these 32 case studies plus the science. And if you are in the States, you have to do the ethics review as well. That's only for those in the States. And that's, multiple choice, just learning more about it. So it's not just that it's 12 minutes. That's just what this one was, right? And you're never really havening someone for an hour. There might be times if you're doing deep trauma encoded work that you are doing havening much longer. It really, again, depends on the client or the patient, who you're supporting, what their presenting issue is, what are you getting to the root of something? Is it trauma encoded? There's never cookie cutter and there should never be cookie cutter with any client or patient. Every person, even if it's the same person, the next session is going to be different from the one before. So the 2-day teaches you the basics. So you have a certificate of completion, I guess. And then you decide, if you decide before, that's great too. I want to go on and get certified in this. I want to bring this into my practice. And then that's where your mentor will guide you on it. Go over all your case studies. I hold office hours every month so we can all ask questions in group and support you in the best way possible. Like the way I was supported, I want to be supported. I want to support my students the same way. Does that make sense? Yay. And again, you can always set up a time with me in that link that I shared. We can do a one-to-one and you can ask as many questions as you want. Okay. I'd love to have you. I know we had a little chit chat. Does anyone else have questions? No? Yes, Gail. Hi, Gail.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Not sure how to phrase it, but I'm thinking, okay, so I'm a professional organizer and specialized in connected organization. So all of this stuff you're talking about is like, yes, yes, brain science, I'm loving it. And sometimes people have traumatic experiences that lead them to hoard and clutter and all of that good stuff. So I'm thinking of standing across from someone saying, okay, do what I do and and do this and do this. And so when you were when you first had your initial exposure to havening, did this person actually touch you or did he coach you through it? I'm curious.
Right. So my initial one was with Dr. Ron Rudin, who's one of the co-developers of Havening, actually the main developer of Havening. He is a Harvard internist doctor, and Dr. Steve, his twin brother, is a dental surgeon. The two of them developed it together. So I'm on stage at their conference and with permission based, because it's consent based, and because they're certified, they were able to do Havening with me. Right. So it's not something that I would incorporate into your practice or professional setting unless you are certified. And of course, even in that situation, it's really understanding the different fundamentals of havening and knowing how to support people in their setting, what is coming up for them, because I would not recommend doing it with a client because you're not a practitioner of it. But I mean, just, it doesn't hurt to just, regulate yourself and be like, I saw this thing. Let's just take some deep breaths together, but incorporating it into your practice is something I wouldn't advise, because really understanding it and knowing how to support people, especially hoarding, could be something that is a trauma encoded situation, right? And I know you're amazing at what you do because I know you personally. So that could be something where we can have a bigger conversation about. Definitely. I'd love that.
I should
Yeah, I know you love brain stuff. We talk about this all the time.
Okay.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions? Other than that, look at me, 12:55. I got you guys and gals out just in time. But listen, I will stay for a couple minutes if anyone has questions, and you're welcome to, throw them at me. But other than that, I really hope you have the most beautiful, productive, inspiring, nurturing, full day. And I will set up the next Havening happy hour probably sometime in November. I know we have some holidays coming up, so I want to be mindful of that. But thank you, everyone, for trusting me, and just pass it along if you know anyone that is interested in doing the free havening happy hour, or even taking part in one of the trainings and bringing this into their lives and into their profession setting, because it can be used. And I didn't mention this: first responders, journalists, doctors, therapists, coaches, guardians, caregivers. I mean, there's really no profession that this is not going to benefit, and not even profession. It benefits your personal life and your everyday. And teachers, don't want to forget about teachers. All right. All right. Be well, everyone. I'm hanging back.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
business
Hilary.
leaders.